Hi, Julie here, and today is Saturday and it's ruled by Saturn. So I wanted to make a quick video about Saturn. No Pluto involved here. um, what I kind of get the sense of with Saturn is, we look at it sometimes in modern astrology as hard work, as the planet of delays and like the bumpers on the road, like obstacles. And what I get with Saturn is that it's just the essence of what we need to achieve something that is long-term success. Let's say, the way it serves our Jupiter, let's say our Jupiter is about time. Let's say our Jupiter is about one wanting to be an actor or a musician. And that's like their life path. And so if that's what they're good at, that's their passion and they follow it, Saturn's help will be to deal with the bureaucracy, to deal with daily training, to deal with auditioning, to deal with the crowd, to take healing when you need to practice all kinds of skills that you need to beside the skills that you're just passionate about. It's going to help you achieve this long-term goal and maintain it. And so it only makes sense that, there's something we're passionate about and we love doing, and we want it for the long term. It only makes sense, that's life, that we're going to run into, bumpers on the road, delays, obstacles, whatnot. And Saturn is just the essence of that gives us perseverance, that gives us the diligence, that gives us the responsibility to do the things that we don't feel like doing all that much, because they serve the higher goal. This, I get really the sense that they serve the Jupiter. They serve the Jupiter in your life. Saturn is like the Jupiter is expansion, Saturn is contraction. And breathing, for example, is expansion and contraction. You need both. So we think of Saturn as something that takes away things, of something that is the Lord of Karma, the Lord of Time. And I think it's just giving us things. Of course, if we do, many things that are not for our highest being, then Saturn is really going to show us that the implications of that, and it's going to get, bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until we change direction. And Pluto is going to support that by completely taking it away from us if it's not good. And Saturn, when it doesn't allow for something, then it really sort of shuts the door, because we need to open another. It shuts the door because we really need to focus on what we're doing. So it's not a planet that we need to be afraid of too much. Sometimes, of course, it can be, bad aspected or be in a sign where it's not the easiest for. But it gives us perseverance, and we need that. It's usually the stuff that we don't like so much doing, and we think of Saturn as these, boring tasks. But Saturn is not the boring task itself. It's just the perseverance and the diligence and the dedication to do that, because it serves a higher goal. For example, I love drinking tea. I don't like cleaning, the pot so much, and I don't like cleaning my sink so much, but I'm gonna do that. And what makes me like tea is my Jupiter, and what makes me clean the sink is my Saturn. It's like, I know this has to be done, so I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna get this over with. And it's interesting because just today, Ernst Wilhelm, who is a Vedic astrologer, I think I mentioned him in the past, made the video of habits of Saturn. And he really mentions that, like, he sees it from a completely different perspective than I do. which is refreshing because I'm used to the modern, Saturn, hard work, boring tasks, karma, time, delays, bumpers on the road. And he's really looking at it as just, when to end things and when to just do something and get this over with. Um, and sort of this planet that's supposed to be easy to do, you just, have to get over it so it wouldn't pile up. And I kind of relate to that. But I also think Saturn is the energy for perseverance. It gives you the energy that you need to fulfill your Saturn. Um, Unless it's like, badly aspected. So, and it can give you like a sense of duty. And you really have to make sure that you're not leaving your Saturn too much, because if you're just doing the hard work and you're not enjoying your life, then you're not doing Saturn right. Saturn is serving Jupiter, is serving, the things that you like to see. And Saturn is also the end. It, I guess in Vedic astrology, they look at Saturn as the end because they don't look at at Neptune, at Uranus, at Pluto. So Saturn is like the last visible planet. Um, but if you take this idea of Saturn as being the end, then it can also be like, how do you let go of things? You know, for example, with Pluto, it's a deeper letting go of things, but it's not something that Vedic astrology deals with so much. What else do I have to say about Saturn? Well, for me, Saturn is in my 8th house in Scorpio, and and Saturn is the lord of my 10th house, especially 11th house, like according to Placidus. But it's like it fills up nearly the whole 10th, and then it sort of begins the 11th. And I feel that, and it's making, I think, a sextile to my Jupiter. So it really supports, I can really access the notion that the contraction supports the expansion. It supports the Jupiter. It makes it realistic to achieve my goals in life. That's how I, get by with it. But you kind of have to not live the Saturn too much. Otherwise, you just think like you're in a pile of hard work, and where's the joy of, it feels like when what I like doing becomes work, then it's too much work. But it doesn't have to be like that. You have to find a good balance between the planets. So Saturn for me is also opposition in Venus, and I did feel this, and it's opposition in Sun. So I felt it as self-criticism, and sort of like when you leave the Saturn too much, then it's difficult to let love in, right? The Venusian, to let love in. And so for many years in my life, I was more career focused because that was where my joy was, in Jupiter in the 10th house, and Saturn supports it. But you also kind of have to learn how not to leave the Saturn too much, not to let go of things that you are actually good at, right? To let love in, to not be so self-critical, and find the inner child in you and display it. And to understand, to find your independence within authority, because Saturn is also authority, right? And for me, it's kind of like today I know that there are people who appreciate and cherish authority. And for me, I like respect authority, but I set my life so that I'm not too affected by it. And it can create like a challenge. It happened for me in one workplace where the person in charge was really respectful of me, but he expected people to be in a situation where he can yell at us when he's nervous, or when he sort of like wants us to do something, but we cannot yell at him back. And I was like, why won't we just respect each other? And I saw him like as equal. And it was a bit difficult for him because he felt like that could be disrespect, although he understood eventually that I don't disrespect him. And at home it was interesting because like my mother would sometimes tell me, but I'm your mother. And I'm like, being first. I didn't care about authority, but I did see people as equal. That's like my Jupiterian side that's kind of developed. And It sees people as equal in the places of authority, like in the 10th house. But today I sort of like understand that I don't have to look at things as, I don't have to agree in being in a position where somebody is an authority over me. But I do respect it that there is such a thing as authority, which is not, common. um, and it's interesting because what has helped me do that, and Saturn is in my eighth house, was actually being exposed to the king community and understanding that, wow, there are people who really likes that they're being controlled, or and that the figure of the, for example, dominant person is not to just, control for the sake of control. They actually have a role of educating the submissive and, empowering the submissive. And it's something that it's not a lifestyle I would ever get into, because I don't like it. I don't relate to it. But I understand the value of it for other people. Like, I don't think of authority as necessarily something bad. It's just something that I don't feel the need to or don't relate to in my life. So Saturn can also be your relationship with authority and the authority figures in your lives. Um, and Saturn is like the authority that inspires. Jupiter is the authority that inspires you, and Saturn is the authority that kind of sets the boundaries and want to get you to be disciplined. And so good balance of Saturn and Pluto can actually create a very good authority figure that sort of sets the boundaries where it's right, and inspires you when it's right. um yeah, so what else is there to say about Saturn? Well, Saturn is related to duty, and some people think that having Saturn in the eighth house could be meaning that the person relates sexuality or deep intimacy as duty. I don't sense it so much. Well, to me, it is conjuncting Mars, and Mars is not like a dutiful. It's not like a dutiful being. So maybe the conjunction with Mars affects it. I don't feel that sense of like sexuality is duty or something like that. But I do work, like one of my jobs is actually in a business that empowers people and provides like sex workshops. It sounds too promising, I guess, but it just teaches people, how to please themselves, how to have a vision, how to learn how to receive pleasure, change their mindset. And that is interesting because Saturn is in the eighth and it's ruling the 10th, and 10th is my career. And it's also ruling like the beginning of the 11th, and that's like my agendas, my, sort of ideology that I spread out. So it does manifest itself as a place where there is duty in the sense that there is a responsibility to work, like doing the daily tasks that the business requires. Um, what else is there to say about Saturn? Saturn, for example, in Scorpio is not so comfortable because Saturn is, Scorpio is what is deep waters. And it is not like Saturn does not have moods, but it's more about, the frontal cortex in a sense that it places the emphasis on a structure, and the structure is not water element. It's different, right? Um, so Saturn in Scorpio might not be so comfortable, but if you work with it in a well positioned way, you can understand the structures that you need to allow for water to flow. So if you think about it in terms of eighth house things, so it's I'm very much aware of how me and a partner should have separate bank accounts, for example, and separate ways to manage our resources, to intervene with each other resources, like Saturn is boundaries, and eighth house is the other person's resources. And Saturn is also like the deep sexuality or the hidden sexuality, so I'm very aware about energetic boundaries. um, and I'm very aware about the practical things that you need to do, like like being tested, or protecting yourself, and so on and so forth, while Mars wants to just flow, just act, just do it. Saturn is kind of okay, we also need this framework. And this is why we see Saturn as delays, but it's actually promising that you will be able to flow. Think about even artists as they learn how to flow, they practice, 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 practice until it's second nature, until it gets into the muscle's memory, and then they flow. So that's Saturn. Saturn provides you with the ability to actually flow. Um, Maybe especially in the water houses, I don't know. So yeah, it keeps you on track. That's Saturn for today. Let's take a card for Saturn. Saturn reading. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Agree to be led. Like, whoa. Agree to be led, not just to lead. Interesting. I have to admit that I'm not like the best in being led. Well, maybe with my guidance, like with my spiritual guides, I definitely agree to be led. Um, but not with people of the physical form so much. I just don't think people of the physical form are that reliable. It's just kind of, maybe I'm too like my Virgo thing is like really aware of the limitations of people. And sort of the higher perspective is kind of, your spiritual guides are kind of, I always trust more the people who are able to be in contact with my spirit guides than people who just, give me advice or try to lead me with third dimensional consciousness. Yeah. But that was the message for Saturn. Now, see you in my next video. Do tell me, where is your Saturn in your chart? How do you experience it? I really love hearing from real people about their real experiences and not just, reading the theories and other study cases that I don't have like first-hand exposure to. If you do like this video and such videos, do subscribe to my channel. I do channeling from time to time. I talk about astrology. I do card channeling messages, sometimes crystals, essential oils. That's kind of like my thing. And you can ask me anything about it. I will try to reply to you. And if you do want to see more from me, then subscribe and click the bell. Like, you have to mark it that you want to receive all the notifications. Otherwise, you'll just be subscribed, but you won't get notifications. That's the interesting way YouTube works. So I'll see you in my next video, and have a happy Saturn day. Oh, crystals you work with Saturn. Anything black. Crystals, it rules rocks, so crystals is a great thing to work with. Yeah, that's anything black. So I'll see you in my next video.